Anthony and Joe Russo, two of the strongest creative forces behind Captain America, the Winter Soldier, have recently gone on record saying that it's, well, first of all, they talked about how great their film is, which is a little weird coming from the makers of the film, but as a non-maker of the film, I would say it was a very interesting film, and it was less than expected from what I thought would come from a Captain America sequel, and it sort of changed how I looked at the movie and the Marvel Cinematic Universe and TV universe a little bit as a whole. It was a very pivotal movie, I would say, the least. But they are saying it's time that comic book movies get Oscar credit. Why aren't more comic book movies that, you know, are strong, have plots that are very interesting and have a lot of depth to them? Why don't they get seen as movies that are good enough to win prestige awards like Oscars and Golden Globes and what have you? And they're pushing for that now. But is that a good idea? Would that actually work?
Well, a lot of movies come out every year. So, and if you look at them from like an artistic standpoint, I love superhero movies, but a lot of the times they're not the Oscar movies. Oscar movies, the movies that win Oscars, they're usually called Oscar bait for a reason because they generally are.
Prestige films.
Yeah.
But is that the way it should be? I mean,
maybe not. I think maybe.
It seems like it's a culture.
Right, exactly. And you have to realize that the people who vote on the Oscars are people who are, again, they're generally older, and they kind of want to focus on that element of cinematic. Because if I was voting for the Oscars, I would have put Scott Pilgrim vs. the World nominated. So
maybe we need more young people on the Academy.
Exactly.
But they were talking about, you know, this is actually really high filmmaking. It has great aspirations. We have this intrigue spy story almost that has similar stories have appeared in movies that were looked at critically. As maybe prestige films or films that would be Oscar nominated. And of course we have Heath Ledger winning for Best Supporting Actor for his role as the Joker. It's not superhero, but the Lord of the Rings movies did get nominated quite a bit at the Oscars. Is it too much of a stretch?
I think that maybe we're lumping superhero movies and like action, adventure, fantasy movies all kind of together. I mean, those movies really don't focus on like acting and the actors as much as they do on the spectacle and the effects and the plot and the movie-going experience, which is great. I think those movies should definitely be made. But when you don't have that, you know, that tear-jerking moment and that quiet thing or that really culturally relevant point that the whole movie comes together to make, then you're not really in contention for Best Picture.
Well, what about awards for maybe screenwriting or directing? I wouldn't say it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not ridiculous. I just think it's still a little presumptuous to say something like Captain America 2 should get
that the
Best
men
Picture.
who made this film are like, this film should deserve an award.
It was great. I loved it.
But there is also a conversation of what is the goal of a superhero film. And then if we look at Marvel's track record, it's these films perform very well. People love them. People see them. People shell out money for them. To launch a campaign for an Academy Award is also a very expensive affair. So would Marvel be more likely to direct their money toward getting Captain America, the Winter Soldier, an award? Or maybe let's start pre-production on Doctor Strange, or let's put some more money into Ant-Man, and let's, you know, the way that we get our investment back, just keep pumping that full of money.
And that begs the question, if they invest money in an award campaign and then they win an award, what does that do for them? Because all these movies are already scheduled and cast, and they're all going to make a lot of money. What does having an Oscar attached to one of them do for you on the whole?
Well, it's definitely a high honor. I mean, I don't know if it would affect what would be happening later in the their cinematic universe. Like, is Daniel Day-Lewis suddenly going to be an Avenger? Probably not. But it would certainly be very interesting and very surprising at the current mold that we have right now, where, you know, Oscar bait films win Oscars, you know, and they're not necessarily films that maybe have the staying power or the love or adoration. Maybe that doesn't matter. Or maybe we should change what the Academy is comprised of. But it would be a very interesting shakeup. I would like to see that happen.
For me, at the same time, too, it's like, honestly, Captain America 2, more people saw it. It affected more people. More people probably love that movie than a lot of the Best Picture Oscar winners. So it's at some point when, and that's just because it has bigger marketing, it's more accessible, stuff like that. But at some point you have to realize, or to me, it's like, if people love what you're doing, maybe you shouldn't want to have to strive for that to be.
Strive for anything else, you mean?
Well, yeah, possibly, but I understand that you want to be recognized by your peers and stuff like that. But it's just hard when you're going up against something like 12 Years a Slave versus Captain America 2. Like, they're just completely different movies.
Definitely.
And one of them lends itself to Best Picture more than the other. So.
One of it sort of demands Best Picture.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure more people saw Captain America 2.
Yeah.
But probably a huge margin.
Yeah.
Well,
so is that what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is out to achieve? Having the most people see your movie or winning an award?
Well, right now, it's definitely most people see the movie. I don't think it's going to be easy to sway Marvel brass over to let's win an award for this movie instead of let's put more money in the money machine as a seed and make more money. I can see that. Yeah, that's a very good analogy for sure. But then we were talking about it affecting people and mattering to people. Then we get into the more philosophical topic of, well, what is an award? What does it mean? Does it mean anything? Does it even matter? Or you can get a People's Choice Award, which nobody seems to care about very much at all. So that's a different world than, I guess, prestige. It's an interesting topic. I don't know if I have a clear idea of whether they should be comic book movies should be thrown into the mix with prestige films, though I like the implication. Yeah, I'm into it, but I don't know if it's for the best for everyone.
I think Winter Soldier was a great movie. I think even beyond comic book expectations, those guys did a great job of crafting a good plot that is a standalone movie and part of a larger whole. It had very few problems as a film, both directed and acted and written and whatnot. I think if comic book movies strive to be the best movies they can be, acclaim will come with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Or just more money. What do you think, audience? Should comic book movies be considered for prestige awards like the Academy Awards? Or is it better to leave that whole world alone? Let us know what you think below in the comments, and please be sure to subscribe.